how important is spirituality when a person is ill?
You do not become suddenly spiritual when you are ill. You cannot run away from the soul or the deep permanent software that is recording all your mental and physical behavior.
Welcome to the Wisdom of the Body podcast. I'm your host, Heather Grzych. Here, we talk about the profound connection between mind, body, and spirit. Join me and other authors, wellness experts, and everyday individuals talk about the importance of listening to our bodies, trusting our guts, and living in deeper harmony with nature. So, whether you're seeking guidance on your wellness journey or simply looking for inspiration, you're in the right place. We're thrilled to be in the top 3% of podcasts globally. You can find the Wisdom of the Body podcast on Apple, Spotify, and most other places where people listen to podcasts. You can follow by joining my email list at heathergrzych.com or by following me on Instagram at heathergrzych. That's Heather, Grzych. I know you're going to love this podcast, so take a second right now to subscribe.
Today I'm here with Dr. Janardana Hebbar, and also known as Dr. Hebbar or JV Hebbar of easyayurveda.com. And if you are in the Ayurveda field, you know who Dr. Hebbar is because you probably use his website or one of his websites to look up information. He's the founder of easyayurveda.com and Easy Ayurveda Hospital in Mangalore, India. He's the author of 10 or more books, more than 10 books, translated into 5 languages, and offers treatment to various ailments at his Easy Ayurveda Hospital, does internship, hands-on training for Ayurveda students and practitioners at the hospital, and does direct and online consultations in Ayurveda, courses, classes, ebooks, books. And so we are going to talk today definitely about Ayurveda because he is one of the foremost experts in Ayurveda globally. And so that's definitely going to come up today. And we're also going to talk about having a spiritual life when, life comes in the way between meals, emails, social media, work, meetings, all the noise of life. It can feel very impossible for people to have a spiritual life. They might try a meditation app or a breathing exercise, or they might do some kind of 30-day challenge or something like that. But still, it just feels like we have this longing to go back to something spiritual that is beyond what we're able to do right now. And, it's very pronounced for people, like trying to meditate while your phone is buzzing, your inbox is overflowing, your kid just spilled cereal all over your floor, because that's modern life. Most of us, I don't live in an ashram. I did live on an ashram before, but I don't know. And it's hard to be in the regular world and feel like you are still connected to spirit. So today, that's why we're talking to Dr. Hebbar. And I'm excited that you're here with me today.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure
Yeah.
being here.
So Dr. Hebbar is joining from India today, and I'm joining from California in the United States. So we're talking from across the globe, and we're going to explore about how Ayurveda will support your balance in a modern, busy life, and also how it intersects with ideas about spiritual life. Maybe even some of the things that people seek from spiritual life, like guidance, mentorship, like this idea of having the guru is oftentimes very connected with having a spiritual life. 70% of people in America, 70% of Americans describe themselves as spiritual. And then there's this portion of people, let's say 22% of people who consider themselves spiritual, but not religious. And then there's a little bit less than that, 21% who identify as neither spiritual nor religious. So, say there's like, 80% of people that don't have this, that do have a spiritual experience, and then there's a smaller group that don't. But that's interesting because you're in India, Dr. Hebbar, and that's, I think, the data that I found, and you can tell me because you live there, the data that I found said that 97% of adults in India believe in God, and that 84% say that religion is very important to them. Now, religion is not spirituality, but does that match what your assumptions are about Indian culture versus US culture?
Yes, I believe it's true because India has been the cradle for all sorts of thoughts, all sorts of spiritual paths, Dvaita, Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita, which form the basis for uh, which are the underlying basic principle behind any religion or any form of spirituality originated in India. And uh, some people might use religion as a way for spirituality, some people might not use, but I there is either ways are fine. There is no right or wrong path here, and it's all well and good if one is in the path of truthfulness, honesty, truth seeking. If one is calm with himself, one is happy with himself, and one is making a positive journey in the right direction with step by step every day in the path of spirituality or in the path of upliftment of consciousness. If that is happening with religion, without religion, it doesn't matter.
Mm. What makes you very interested in spirituality yourself?
I mean, I found out it later. As per the Hindu, as per Hindu religion, I am a Cancerian, zodiac constellation. So my zodiac sign is Cancer, not as per the modern one. There's a sun sign and moon sign. As per the Hindu one, I am a Cancerian.
Okay.
And for Cancerian people, uh, being spiritually oriented or religiously oriented is a recipe, is a prescription rather than an option. Uh, I mean, that I found out a little later. But personally, my life has been a little bit of a. I had a major abdominal surgery when I was just 9 year old, and then a lot of bone fractures while playing, a road traffic accident, and I lost my father when I was just 13, 14 year old, and uh, and like, but very accidentally, I took the path of Ayurveda, and very accidentally, I started the blog, and like every step has been uh, very, I would say, though I'm not like pushing myself into one or other direction, I've been like pushed here, and so. Growing up, I wouldn't. I was having a little bit of a weak mind,
Mm.
very less confidence.
Mm.
So and would not speak up until I've been told to. Type of a kid in
Like
a
shy, a little shy.
oh, very much shy. Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Uh, but uh, so like there was always a. I mean, if I tell something to someone, like if I scolded someone, I would always, there was an inner voice which was like judging whether you were right or wrong or trying to guide in the right direction, like don't do that or don't be angry unnecessarily, so on and so forth. So, I mean, the spiritual path has come quite naturally to me rather than me going behind and choosing it.
Mm. Yeah. So it sounds like it's something that's really helped you in your life.
Yes, it's not like a spirituality adoption into one's life uh, should not be, yeah, I mean, it has helped definitely, but it should not be something as a tool for you to solve a problem.
Mm,
It should be the Windows software or the Android or iOS platform in which you
mhm,
build your apps or build your life or build your facets of life. You being a father and family man and wife, husband or wife or mother and son, daughter. So all those things, this is like a platform to build your personas and live the life rather than, oh, I'm feeling a little bit stressed out today. I'm having a little bit of headache. So let's be spiritual for 1 hour.
mm,
It's not like that. It's a path of life, like a very basic foundational software.
mm. I think it's a really interesting thing. Words are so easily interpreted in different ways by people. So I'd love to hear, because I sometimes wonder if people treat the, their love of Manchester United or their love of the San Francisco 49ers, as a spiritual experience. And I'm just wondering if maybe I could hear a little bit about what your definition of spirituality is.
If you were affiliate, if your love for any existing thing which is going to get which is perishable, which is not going to be there for a very long period of time. I'm in Manchester United. Probably I am inadvertently making some enemies because I'm giving this example. But I and you and everybody know that Manchester United would not be there in this world for um, after some years or decades or centuries.
Wait a minute.
And
What's your favorite soccer team? What's your favorite football team? Are you just saying that because you like a different football team? No, just kidding.
no, I mean, I do not watch football much, but I mean,
Yeah.
I sometimes in the reels in other places I would watch something like magical Messi or Ronaldo's kicks
Yeah.
and goal hitting. That's it. I'm not like affiliated or to anything. Uh, but worldly affliction. Oh, I love this pen very much. I mean, there's no spirituality in it. Like you drop the pen, it'll get destroyed.
Mm,
So that cannot be spirituality. Is one thing. Any affiliation to one club or one sports, this one is cannot be spirituality is one thing. And you do not try to be spiritual. You try to be truthful, you try to be disciplined, you try to be you try to control your sense organs, like do fasting from time to time and discipline the mind, focus and concentration. And out of all these things the spirituality will be manifesting in you, like
mm,
so it is like after effect. It's not
mm,
like I am spiritual today, I'm not spiritual the other day. Doesn't it doesn't have meaning. And
mhm,
to add to the point, religious way can also be a way of spirituality as well. There is nothing wrong. So you being devotional is also a path or a step in or a level in the spirituality. So
mhm,
we need not be like too much against religion as a path of spiritual. There is no right or wrong ways. Even a beggar by the side of the road can be spiritual. We do not know because he might be like in a Indian Hindu custom. Once you figure out spirituality, you will give up everything. Or if you have attained the status of realization. You realize that nothing matters. This cloth, this body, the wealth, the family doesn't matter, and you would end up by the side of the road because you're happy. You're there in your final spiritual level. So we cannot be judgmental about any path or anything that people are doing. But definitely, I would say that affiliation to a sports club or I don't know. In India, there is a lot of hero worship, the cinema hero. Like, oh, I mean, like people celebrate birthdays of the children of film heroes and
Oh,
heroines.
oh, wow.
So that can give elevation, that can give them fame. Okay, they may become famous, or they can. It can give some amount of gratification or satisfaction or temporary happiness. But so even after uh, a a serial killer will also get some amount of happiness by killing someone, but that doesn't mean that he's spiritual. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad that we're talking about what spirituality actually is, and I love the way you're explaining it because I think when people say something like spiritual practices, they think that there's something that they're doing that is spiritual in and of itself, that like you're saying being truthful, that these are things that we practice to connect with our spiritual experience. I don't want to misunderstand what you're saying. So is that
one of the purpose of spirituality is like truth seeking, like finding out the truth, meaning of everything, understanding this universe better. In religious sense, it is like realization of God. But everything is same. Whatever I have told, everything is same. So uh, so it is not the badge that I will create for myself and show off to my friends and family that, oh, you are not spiritual, I am spiritual. You are just boosting ego, and you are again getting into the falsehood of pride and ego, and comparing yourself and showing others in a others to be in a lower strata or uh, so like being truthful means like being like brutally honest with yourself, being able to accept your mistakes brutally, and course correcting yourself and dragging yourself into the what is right and what is wrong. Having, first of all, in the first place, having intuition to know whether which what is right and what is wrong. And if you have lied to someone, like there should be some string in the heart that should cause a little bit of pain that reminds you not to do it again and again. So,
mm,
that is spirituality. At least the path of spirituality. Uh, uh, if someone is in the path of devotion for such a person, doesn't matter religion, doesn't matter who the god is, unless the god is not like a human being or a film actor or a sports person,
mm,
uh, like who has beyond doubt took the path of devotion to, or who is a source of light and who is a source of truthfulness, if you are very sure, very much sure of that, and if you are devoting yourself to the god and doing prayers and puja homa, all those things, uh, to it, like step by step you feel closer to that god. And as a byproduct of that, step by step, you are truthful, you are courageous, you are loving all the human beings, and doing productive things, doing positive things to others. Even mentally, you are praying for others. That's also a path of spirituality.
mm.
Ultimately, you should have net and net positive effect to yourself inside first and to the external environment as a secondary effect.
Hmm. You've seen a lot of people come into your hospital. Now, I just want to also clarify for the audience because if you don't live in India, you don't really know about Ayurvedic hospitals and that's a thing. So, what can you actually just start with what is an Ayurvedic hospital?
Before the invention of like antibiotics and chemicals and other things came up in India, and in India, if like people were fighting with people who are at war and people are fighting with each other, and by chance, if an arrow entered here and came back from your back, you would go to Ayurveda to heal it. Meaning is that starting from kidney stones to cataract surgeries to uh, cosmetic surgeries to nasal implants to cold, cough, fever, etc. Ayurveda was the mainstream medicinal system in India for thousands of years, at least for the recorded number of years, more than 3,000 years. Uh, so, I mean, with India getting, I mean, there were people coming from China, from Turkey, from different parts of the world to India to study Ayurveda, along with many other different sciences. India was the cradle of knowledge to the world. And there were like universities which were conducting entrance exam to get the students in to their universities across the globe. So that it was a well-developed thing. But unfortunately, with the foreign invasion and other things happening, all the science got lost.
Mhm.
So now that Ayurveda in the last few decades is gaining strength again, and people are realizing that for everything, steroids or antibiotics or injections are not the right answer, or the vaccines. Everything has its own place, but uh,
Mhm.
I'm not like disrespecting any of these things. They're life saving if used correctly. But even for a common cold or cough or an asthma attack, or even an autoimmune disease, you need not be going to steroid all the time. So there is natural path of healing. So people are realizing that more and more. So Ayurveda is gaining back its lost glory again. So an Ayurveda hospital like ours is Easy Ayurveda Hospital in Mangalore. So people come here even if they have cold or cough or asthma or simple headache or backache. They're working on the working a mechanic working in a car garage, and suddenly he has a back cramp. He comes here for healing. And we use in a typical Ayurveda hospital, for example, ours, we have like a laboratory to test do some blood tests if it is required, because people want some parameters to check before and after treatment. For us, also, it's easy to convince the patient that you are in the path of healing.
Mhm.
And we have panchakarma setup where we do all panchakarmas that is told in Ayurveda. For example, we do the bloodletting therapy. We have an Ayurveda a surgery department with a minor operation theater where we do the Ayurvedic way of skin grafting to healing wounds with deep medicines like charas and piles and fistula surgeries in an Ayurvedic way
Oh.
to cosmetic therapies, hair care therapies, um, and the relaxation rejuvenation therapies, etc., to treating paralysis. We make, I mean, a stroke patient comes in a stretcher, and we make him walk in about 3 weeks if all parameters are
Mhm.
favorable. I mean, all things considered.
So that's
So
so interesting because it sounds like in some ways like it's very similar to I'm going to say a regular hospital, or the types of hospitals that people are familiar with in other countries that may not have Ayurvedic hospitals. But is it that the medicines being used and the treatments are different than other types of interventions in other medical disciplines that makes an Ayurvedic hospital really different?
Yes. So that's the basic difference. A modern hospital where all Ayurvedic medicines are used is an Ayurvedic hospital, and therapies
Yeah. Yeah.
used.
Yeah. And people are coming in for panchakarma, which is this really amazing system of cleansing and rejuvenation that's used.
Yeah.
And so you've seen people coming in with some probably acute things and some very serious conditions. And how important is spirituality when a person is ill?
This illness and spirituality. Um, I mean, there are two, three ways in which we can explore. So let me lay out the whole situation. One thing is that for a you do not become suddenly spiritual when you are ill, but being ill and taking care of yourself, getting admitted in a hospital can be the start of a spiritual path, that you are so busy running around, running your business and interacting with people and family and managing everything, so earning a livelihood in a right or wrong or moral or immoral ways, that you never had any time for reflection at all. And though you were getting some inner voices, you were hearing inner voices saying that, oh, you're lying too much, you're not in the path of truth, and you are taking shortcuts in your business, doing illegal, uh, unethical things. Though you're not getting caught, it's not illegal but unethical. You're doing all those things, but
And you're
you're
not
being late.
sleeping because you're working too late and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds ironical because it's 3:49 in a.m. here in India, but no, I mean, so
We're
like
not claiming
over,
to be perfect friends.
yeah. I mean, the overworking is not like bad. I mean, we are dedicated to something which is good, as long as like we are not robbing a house and like uh, that. I mean, I am talking more of unethical and illegal things. So we were not getting any chance to reflect on our path of lives thus far. So being admitted in a hospital or falling sick and spending some time in bed can be a path of reflection, that what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, uh, how my mind is distracted in 100 different ways, and how I'm wasting my life being leading a distracted and not so moral life. How it can be made better for a person who is ill. This can be this can be a time for reflection, that at least he can make plans to when he gains back his health, he can make plans to course correct himself and get into a path of spirituality. That's a very good thing. But if you're already uh, into the spirituality, the body doesn't matter much. Uh, for a like, I mean, this is like very high level spirituality. I'm not claiming that I'm there yet. I mean, a little bit of pain here and there, I start worrying a lot. I mean, my mind is not there yet, but from what I've heard, and I mean, what I have seen in people, like highly spiritual people, is that as you attain higher levels of spirituality, more and more taken away. Your consciousness is not attached to your body. Let me give a famous example in Swami Vivekananda himself. Like he came to Chicago and he was staying in I'm not sure whether it's in Europe or in his Europe trip or in US trip. He was staying in one of his disciples' house before delivering a lecture. And he was there for a few days, and again, he would come back and check himself in the mirror. And again, like going back and forth, like multiple times in a day, he would check himself in the mirror. And his disciple who was hosting him was was like astonished that he's checking his mirror. I mean, as a monk should not be checking his mirror, like checking his body often,
Like, is he
because
a vampire? No. Looking for himself.
no. Then I said, like, I mean, he asked this monk, like, why are you checking? Like, we the body consciousness should go away as we proceed forward in the path
Mm,
of spirituality. He asked, and the monk said that for some reason I cannot remember or memorize how I look. Uh,
mm,
so when he's passing across a mirror, sometimes he feels that that person is different because he doesn't remember he himself.
mm,
So we get away from the consciousness goes away from the body, and even if we have illness or this one, that they will remember the law of karma, and they think this illness as a path of losing some of the bad karma. And
mm.
of course, it doesn't mean that if we have illness, we should not take remedial measures. We should take remedial measures because ultimately this body is a gift of God, or it's a tool for us to realize, take up the path of spirituality, do meaningful thing in life that benefits others and brings a positive change in the society. It is also this body, though doesn't have much meaning in the long run, has meaning at least in the short run. So we should be taking care of ourselves. But body is not the whole thing. So illness is
Mm.
just a way to spend our bad karma. But for really people who are too busy and who are not into spirituality or inner reflection, it can be a starting point.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a tricky thing, where it feels like when a lot of people approach spirituality or practices that they think will increase their spirituality or lead them to spirituality or make them more spiritual, whatever they're trying to do, um, it feels like sometimes some of those practices are not even beneficial for their health, some of them. And do you ever notice that happen with people? And how do you reconcile that when someone is also interested in having a healthy body, but they may be doing something that they think is spiritual that is actually causing them to have some different sort of relationship with their body?
I mean, if I know that the person is taking up, say, fasting for very long periods of time,
Mm-hmm.
or sitting and doing meditation for 10 hours a day, for example, is good for his mental and spiritual health, may not be good for his back, for example,
Mm-hmm. Or knees.
uh, or knees, yeah. And
Yeah.
uh, so I would be a little careful. I mean, if such as, I mean, we get many spiritual people here also, religious people as well. Uh, I, I'd be careful to advise them not to do that again and again. But I would, I mean, I'd be very respectful for them because they're in a higher spiritual than me. Like I'm running here trying to earn money, but they're using their body for something more meaningful. So I would try to give some ideas of taking the middle paths. Maybe if you're sitting in Padmasana for 10 hours, maybe sitting in a chair is a good thing, or going early in the morning, walking and doing the meditation, if that is a possibility. Or at least I would advise something which counteracts it. Say, maybe if someone is sitting for long, maybe Surya Namaskara can be good, that at least they'll be stretching their back on other times when they are not sitting and doing meditation, for example. Some people would be taking very bland or only carbohydrate rich diet, neglecting all the other things. A non-vegetarian, for example, leaves all the non-vegetarian things and becomes totally vegetarian or
Mm-hmm.
goes even to the point of vegan.
Mm-hmm.
He will have some health problems.
Or Steve Jobs, for example, he was a fruitarian at many times in
Future.
his
Yeah,
life, right? Steve
yeah, yeah.
Jobs was.
Yeah, there are some studies saying that for his pancreatic cancer, his lifestyle was also one of the reasons. Uh, so one is that if they're so much into their practice, they'll not listen to a doctor like me to this one, but they will be open to adopting a like meeting in the middle sort of a thing. At least like some remedial measures before or after their practice. For example, if Steve Jobs was so much into the fruitarian diet and he was avoiding all the nutritious thing, probably some protein shake, even if that's vegan, or some multivitamins, or using more of
Mm-hmm.
turmeric. We are it's like hindsight is 2020. We are talking after all these things. Probably a little bit of varieties in the vegan diet would have been beneficial.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because I think when you and I started off, wanting to have this conversation, I assumed I was like, we're going to talk about, how can we just help like normal busy people have more, how can they connect more with their spiritual life? And I know that this is a huge challenge for people. And one of the things I see happening around me a lot is people turning to psychedelics. And I think they're turning to psychedelics for multiple reasons, one of them being a spiritual experience. And I personally wonder if that's a very wise approach for so many people to be taking that path. But what are some other ways that people in their day-to-day life, normal, Jennifer, Smith, who works at has her own business, or she has a job and she's busy and, loves traveling, and, how can people that don't live on an ashram, that aren't monks, um, still incorporate things into their life to connect with spirituality?
First of all, we have to ask ourselves whether the person has come to you to be spiritual or not. If yes, not, um, then we cannot like drag him to like spiritual. Like, hey, become spiritual. This is your prescription. We cannot say like that. But what we can do is we can try to correct their mind, make it more focused, adopt healthy habits, avoid too much spices or too much sweets or too much of any one taste, which would either trigger kama, krodha, all this anger, unnecessary distractions, etc. Try to discipline him, teach some meditation or not say even meditation, teach some exercises for his so that he becomes more focused, more centered, avoids anger, that acting on the spur of the moment, doesn't. Yeah. So these would be the paths I would take
Like more
if there's
self-control, building more,
self-control.
yeah.
Self-control and I mean, if he has come for some psychiatric or psychological condition, then setting right his relationship uh, with the people, family and friends, or uh, helping him dealing with the childhood trauma, for example, or sexual abuse, teenage girl or a boy, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
helping. So all these are in a way to accept themselves, accept their negatives, uh, and then move towards some kind of a making a peace with themselves and carving out a path so towards productiveness, uh, more consciousness, and more like well balanced and controlled and disciplined life. We can only
Mm-hmm.
do this much. We are not spiritual gurus. Ayurvedic doctors are not spiritual gurus. We study a bunch of books and act like a spirituality, like spirituality experts. We only have studied 10 books, and book reading doesn't make you spiritual. Let's be very clear with that. So that is one. And coming to the,
I
uh,
love it. No, because a lot of people will refer to Ayurvedic, to Vaidyas or to Ayurvedic practitioners as guru. That
no,
does happen.
no, no, like I am not a guru. I have a business. When a patient comes in, my profiteering from the patient is in my mind. If the patient doesn't pay, I feel a little bit of a heartache.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, of
Yeah.
course, yeah, I would give some discount if someone is really poor, but it is a way to earn money. We are here for money. Money is not spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm behind fame. Oh, you studying Ayurveda. You have not referred easy Ayurveda. I feel pain. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean it's a ego satisfying thing also.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Because he's very super famous in the Ayurveda field. Everybody uses his website. Everybody.
but how dare you not? Like so there is ego involved. There is self boosting involved. There is money involved. Uh, if, if a patient stays in our hospital for 50 days and doesn't pay, I might ask him to leave, though I might not have treated him well. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
spirituality. It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying like I'm not uh, if for the other Ayurveda practitioners across the globe, I'm not blaming it. That just doing a 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 years of course of Ayurveda doesn't make one spiritual. Of course, we have studied some amount of what is soul, what is sense organs, and this
Mm-hmm.
and that. Uh, there are more scope for us to be being spiritual versus a modern doctor or I don't know, maybe homeopathy
Mm-hmm.
doctor, etc. There's
But
more
you're saying
scope.
it's not really the purpose. Like it's like where the purpose of Ayurveda is not, or the Ayurvedic clinician, the purpose of the Ayurvedic clinician, whatever they're called in different countries,
Mhm.
is not to be someone's guru, and it is not to be a religious leader.
Exactly is my point.
Yeah.
And and so I mean, one should not the patient or the client who is walking in should not confuse an Ayurveda Vaidya or a practitioner as a spiritual guru. Definitely. It's an Ayurveda center or a Panchakarma center. It's not an ashram, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get some guidance or some you can take basic help with that Ayurveda doctor to correct your mind or a mindset or even the medicines also help to control the mind or sharpen the mind, and that can be a first step, but it's definitely not the definitely we are not like spiritual masters sitting to enlighten everyone. And coming to psychedelics or coffee or tea
Mm.
or uh, like external stimulants, let's say.
Yeah.
And only if I have lavender incense stick burning or lavender fragrance, I feel spiritual, etc.
Mm-hmm.
In the initial steps, like very baby steps that one is taking into the path of spirituality, maybe these things, coffee or tea or like specific fragrance or essential oil helps me to get into the groove.
Mm,
That is okay. But
mm-hmm,
I had to be double careful to bucket that stimulant as a psychedelic. It acts differently in different persons. So, for example, if psychedelic is helping two people to see the world in a different way or develop an intuition, and 98 people, this is not the statistic, I have not done any research on that as of now, but if it's not, but if it is causing schizophrenic symptoms in other 98 people, probably it's not a way. Unless it's proven, don't go there. Psychedelic people do not seek spirituality in they need not necessarily be seeking truth or spirituality. They would be seeking, for example, some vision or some dimension to the mind.
mm-hmm,
A robber can also be taking psychedelic and it will help in inventing a different way of robbery. Doesn't mean that he is in a path of spirituality.
mm,
So just having a just discovering a different angle of mind, that you're discovering that your mind can also think in different ways
mm-hmm,
that than the normal people, doesn't mean that you are spiritual. And also, I've been told that in the psychedelic thing, some people might go into a negative cycle where they start crying and they want to commit suicide and they're extremely phobic. And they feel like they're going to die anytime soon, and it has negative effects also. So when you are taking psychedelics as a path of spirituality, I think you are doing a wrong thing. For example, you can start and sit quiet without any distraction and try to focus. That can be a better exercise than taking a psychedelic for this one. You're just when you're taking psychedelic, probably if you look inward, one of the reasons that you're taking is you want to run away from reality and like
mm-hmm,
alcohol, like you want to
mm-hmm,
just escape the reality and
mm-hmm.
be something else or experience something else to temporarily numb your pain, probably. So that in both these things, like the intention matters the most
Mm-hmm.
for a very honest seeker, like who wants to seek the truth and take the path of spirituality, but he was misguided by someone to take psychedelics because he's just a teenager, and he just takes it because everybody said that your mind will open up and you'll
Mm-hmm.
realize God, or
Mm-hmm.
you'll be truthful, or you can be a better person, thinking good of everybody and other things. So leading a sattvic, you can lead a sattvic way of life. If he's tricked into that and he takes the psychedelic, for example, uh, ultimately the universe, I believe that will take him in the right path somewhere.
Mm,
But I would not rely on any external stimulant to be spiritual because it becomes temporary, and that feeling of being focused or concentrated or this one will also be temporary. And withdrawal effects and other things will drag me down rather than taking my mind up and up.
yeah. Wow. I think a lot of people that are doing psychedelics are not going to like hearing that. And I am happy that we're talking about it because it's just been really troubling me how many people are doing them. Um, okay. What else do you think is important for people to know before we close today? And I have one more question for you, but what is there anything else you think is really important for people to know about how to cultivate a spiritual life? I'm sure there's a lot because I mean we could go into a ton of stuff about fasting and like I would love to nerd out. I wrote my master's thesis on fasting, so I would love to nerd out with you on that sometime. But what do you think on a general level? What do you think is really important for people to know about cultivating a spiritual life?
So there are two things. If someone is not into any religion or just wants to take the path of spirituality or at least take an initial few steps, uh, then they probably like they can start with like being very truthful, like not lying at all, or lying only when they have spent out all the other options and just lying a small thing, or at least telling the half truth rather than like straight out lying. That I mean, and develop some courage. Like I mean, there's no way to like develop courage, but like be like when there is a fearful path and courageous path, take the courageous path. Don't be like fearful of
Mm.
exploring things. So courage and truth, and do not be attached to your smartphone or your football soccer team or like a living. Do not make a god out of a film actor or a
Hmm.
sports person. Know that everybody is into their thing, and you have your own thing to do, and focus and concentration. Uh, uh, some control over mind, maybe less control over sexual thoughts or like craving for foods, uh, being extra dependent on music or films or Instagram reels, like some amount, like too much into eating and like control self control over everything that you do, like do it in limits, so that can be the baby steps in which an Ayurveda Vaidya or practitioner who can guide you. That can be few steps towards spirituality, but unless the person himself is not self-realized, uh, you that it will be like there's Swami Vivekananda's guru is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He was
Mm.
telling like it would be like a blind leading a blind
Mm.
person, and it is like there's a big elephant and someone is blind and touching the ear of the elephant and saying that, oh, elephant has a wavy body. And someone is touching the tail of the elephant and saying that elephant is like a worm, like a long worm. Someone is touching the leg of the elephant and saying that elephant is just a big pillar, like a thick pillar. Like
Mm.
everybody is saying their own things, but nobody
Based
has
on what
to.
they have had exposure to.
Yeah, unless someone is like totally spiritually realized and you're very much sure about that, don't make
Mm.
that person your idol.
Mm.
He can be a tool for your initial steps, but he is not God or he's not a spiritual guru. So, so that is one thing. And for people who are religious, I mean, I want to break that taboo. Is that religious path, devotion, prayers, reading spiritual religious scriptures, doing puja or visiting a temple or a church or so all those things are also meaningful ways of spirituality. You need not be like meditating for 10 hours a day.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because one of the things I'm hearing is that spirituality doesn't necessarily mean that it's all flowers and rainbows. And I mean, because when you hear the word truth, that's very different than like, you're here to be happy or you're here to be, blissful or whatever the thing is. Truth can be very difficult for people to feel or to see. And you know, that aligns really when I like my own definition of spirituality is very close to that.
Yeah, running away from realities of our lives, the sufferings and the mistakes that we are making and troubles we are causing to our health and our mind and to our family, and just attending a meditation session and just feeling little bit of elevated,
Mm-hmm.
and just be forgetting all the mistakes that we are doing in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
and just feeling a little bit of elation in this one is not spirituality. Yeah, like if you have attended a yoga session or a spiritual session and you come out and you had to ask really like, is it really helping me? Or is it just an escape path for me that, oh, I feel spiritual and come back and do all the same mistakes of
Mm-hmm.
being excessively greedy, overcharging the customer and cheating on wife or husband or girlfriend, boyfriend and abusing the children and so on and so forth. After that session, am I being less evil or not? Or
Mm-hmm.
I'm being a less bad person or not? Or there is some positive change that I'm able to bring in my life? Be honestly truthful. You cannot run away from the soul or the deep permanent software that is recording all your mental and physical behavior, speech I included. So you cannot run away. So being as close to your soul or that software is helpful. That is a path of spirituality. Like if it is moving you away from an anger outburst that happens. So I was angry for 10 hours a day and I went to a spiritual path and I mean, spiritual blissful session, came
Mm-hmm.
out and then the next day I was angry for only 9.5 hours
Mm.
versus a 10 hour.
That was an
Then
impactful medicine.
yeah, but you had to be self-analyzing to really feel like
Yeah.
that. So I felt blissful and happy and elated and as if flying in the sky or something. But I am angry for from 10 hours, I was angry for 15 hours a day, then probably you're not into the spirituality.
Mm.
So self-testing, even the testing of the guru that you're following, whether you are into the right way or your mind is too much in pain or uh, are you losing your balance between being spiritual and actually taking care of your family?
Mm.
Are you doing really um, so all those things have to be taken care.
Mm.
For a common man, I'm speaking. I mean,
Yeah.
in a very high spiritual level, family also doesn't matter, but we are not talking about that. For a person who is just taking baby steps towards spirituality,
Yeah.
there should be balance, and people who you love in and around should be benefited in a positive way,
Mm.
at least in the initial
Mm.
steps. If that's not happening, you have to double check. Probably in the next episode when we record, we can create like a checklist of like is spiritual or not spiritual.
Yes. I love it. This has been fun. Okay, final question today, Dr. Hebbar. What does the wisdom of the body mean to you?
It has been definitely helped me to bring positive change in people's health, like in a very deep way. Like people um, uh, who are like 300 pounds come here and spend time here, and I slowly start with panchkarma, and then with panchkarma their mind also changes for the better. They'll be more listening,
Mm.
they'll be less angry or less in a hurried state of mind. Then I use that opportunity to maybe we can change, uh, you know, um 10 cans of soda. At least one can we can replace with this ginger tea. I mean, they start agreeing to that and slowly take the healing path. it has been very satisfying to see that change. And with the easyayurveda.com and the blog and everything, uh, one is that it's a ego boosting tool, but
Mm.
I see many people started believing Ayurveda and going to there. So common people, at least there are a few thousand people who have read my blog, started believing in Ayurveda, saw that in a scientific, it has a scientific science rather than just a bunch of home remedy collection, and went to an Ayurveda doctor or a Vaidya or practitioner somewhere in their locality and benefited their health. I have I have heard from many of the Ayurveda students that it is helping them in learning, understanding Ayurveda better, and becoming a better Vaidya. Though in a way it is like a ego boosting. At least I'm happy that at least I'm doing something positive. So it has been
Mm.
meaningful in that way. And for me also internally, though I do a lot of unhealthy things still, but at least to be brutally honest, being Ayurveda has also taught about intuition, and that has helped me to course correct when I'm doing or when I've done something very wrong.
Mm.
At least that
Hmm.
I can say.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet for say.
Yeah. Yeah, because Ayurveda is the science of life, and to have life, you have to have a body, no matter how spiritual you are. And wow, thank you so much for this wonderful interview. And I really enjoyed having you here and look forward to another conversation.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Look forward to another episode, let's say.
Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. Visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, GRZYCH.com. And meet me here next time on the Wisdom of the Body.